This is the R5 video. We've been waiting for this. You know what I said when Canon first told me about the R5 and gave me all the specs?
What?
All the traitors are coming back. All you guys are coming home to Canon. Cue intro. I'm wedding and portrait photographer Vanessa Joy, and by now you probably have heard this morning the wonderful announcement of the Canon EOS R5 full-frame mirrorless camera for professionals. I've got a lot coming for you, but first a little freebie. Download my free posing inspiration guide. You can download it in the link in the description below. Now what I want to do with this video, yes, I'm going to give you the specs, I'm going to give you that thing, but I also want to talk about the R5 in relation to the R6 and the 1DXIII, because those are the things we're going to want to know about. You have three incredible cameras all coming out recently, obviously the two coming out today. Which one is better? Which one do you want? Which one is going to work for you? Now hopefully you've already dived into my R6 video, which posted this morning. That camera I've had my hands on. I had it for about 2 months and I shot everything under the sun with that camera. Streaming and gaming, travel vlogging, and makeup tutorials for YouTube. We really put it through the ringer. So be sure to check out that video. Now the R5, I haven't got that thing in my hands, but considering that I do own the 1DX Mark III and I've been able to play with the EOS R6, and there are some similarities with the R5, I think I'm going to give you a really nice overview of what you can expect when you finally get your hands on the Canon EOS R5. Number one, we'll talk about photo and then we'll get into the video side of it, which the guy that's filming this here is probably gonna fight me on a little bit because we had a fight about it last night. All of us photographers' dreams have come true, of course, with this camera. It has in-body stabilization. It has a 45 megapixel CMOS sensor with the Digic X processor that we see in the 1DX Mark III and the R6. Now the ISO range on this is not what you see in the R6. You've got a 100 to 51,200 ISO with an expandable to double that, 102,400. But with the R6, it's actually double that. So we have a little bit more room to push the ISO in the R6 and the 1DXIII, which you can pretty much expect from a smaller sensor size. Honestly, I'm never shooting anything that high unless I am shooting in the depths of hell. Honestly, I'm never gonna shoot anything at that high of an ISO unless I'm, I don't know, shooting the inside of my coffin. I have no analogy for this here. I'm just never gonna do it. So yes, it's great that the R6 and the 1DXIII can push a little higher on the ISO, but who's really using that anyway, right? What you care about is how clean the image is that comes out. The high-speed continuous shooting is exactly the same as you see in the R6. It has 12 frames per second on the mechanical shutter with 20 on the electronic. Super fast, no problems there. Now here's one of the things you want to consider. If you are a sports photographer, the 1DXIII is going to give you a continuous shooting of much longer than you're going to see in the EOS R5 or the R6. The autofocus is very similar to what I've experienced in the R6. You've got a dual pixel CMOS autofocus covering approximately 100% of the area with 1,053 focus points. That's a lot. It also has that deep learning technology that you see in the R6 and the 1DXIII with face, eye, head, and animal eye detection. Again, all the things you're getting in the R6. Why do I keep mentioning that? I just want to give you a comparison because I know a ton of you are sitting there right now thinking, wow, two amazing cameras just came out, which one's the best one for me? And there is a pretty big difference in price. The IBIS in-body image stabilization, you can expect up to 8 stops of that, just like in the R6. And one of the big differences that you get here is you have dual card slots. One card is CF Express, but the other one is a regular SD card slot. Now you definitely want to have the faster card for the higher megapixel images and what I'm going to get into in the video specs. One of the biggest differences I think you're going to see between the R6 and the R5 is the electronic viewfinder. Now when I was experiencing the R6, it has a beautiful electronic viewfinder. You've got the same refresh rate in the R5, but the EVF has 5.76 million dots. What does that mean? That means when you're looking through the viewfinder, holding the camera actually up to your face, it's not going to seem as electronic as it really is, and it's going to feel a little bit more like an optical viewfinder. This is a big hang up for a lot of people, who have shot optical viewfinders and then are trying to make the switch to mirrorless. Some people even get headaches when they're looking through the electronic viewfinder. So having such a crazy advanced EVF in the R5 is going to make a lot of people happy, especially if you're trying to switch from DSLR to mirrorless. It's just going to be more natural and comfortable to the human eye. Now, the biggest thing you're going to notice about the R5 versus the R6 is the build quality. Number one, the dials on the back, amazing, that's in the R6, but the R5 is just a little bit bigger. Some of the similarities you'll see are the vari-angle touchscreen, as well as the dials, bringing back the dial on the back of the camera, which is huge, especially for us Canon users who just have that muscle memory of where our hands and fingers are supposed to go when we're shooting. Now, I would say that the R6 has impressive durability also. I used 2 of those cameras, photo, video, dragged them around all over the place, shot a million different things, put them in hands of people that didn't even know how to use them, just so I can make a promo commercial that you'll see tomorrow on this channel. I haven't put it through any weather tests, but from what I know, the R5 is going to have a little bit more durability than the R6. It definitely feels a little bit more meaty in your hands when you're holding a larger camera, which is actually one thing I like about the 1DXIII. Now, you have built-in Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, but the really cool thing that is in the R5 that is not in any other camera that Canon has come out with, that I'm aware of anyway, there is the ability to image transfer from the Canon EOS R5 to a server. They call it an optional wireless file transmitter. And from what I know about it, it's going to transfer the entire files to a server. What I see for this in the future is going to have the capacity to be shooting a wedding and uploading your photos right to your home server or to your editors, completely eliminating the need to take the card out of the camera, throw it in a card reader, download it to your computer, and then upload it to wherever it needs to go. You've got instant offsite backup, instant access to your editors, or whoever else is going to want access to your photos. That is a huge workflow plus. If you know anything about me, I am huge on camera gear, not just being great for the specs and the tech that it has, but for how it makes my life a little bit easier. If there's a convenience factor in something, that makes it worth it for me. Now let's get into the video. And this is what I meant by traitors. I mean all of you videographers, including my husband, who is shooting this, who went to Panasonic and left Canon, but kept all his Canon lenses because they're amazing. The video in here is what everyone has been talking about. We've known for quite some time that it's 8K RAW, but in our heads, everyone's thinking, well, is that crippled in some kind of way? How is Canon gonna cripple it? Well, here's what we've got. I'm gonna put up on the screen all of the different file formats that you can shoot video in, along with the record times for each of the file formats, depending on how large your card is. This is where you'll start to notice a huge difference between the R5, R6, and 1DXIII. The R5 is definitely the answer to most videographers' needs, while the R6 doesn't have all eye and there's a crop factor. And then the 1DX has that crop factor, as well as not having all of the autofocus capabilities in the higher resolution formats. So in the R5, we have 8K RAW, which you can shoot at 30 frames per second, 24 frames per second, all in Canon log, 10-bit, 422, uncropped. As you can see, there are a ton of options here. You can even shoot in 4K at 120 frames per second. You can even shoot time lapses in full HD, 4K, and 8K. Now, if you're looking at this chart, you may notice that 4K RAW is not an option. I wasn't there in the development meetings. I don't actually know the answer to this. I don't know if it'll be a firmware upgrade some point, but I can see a lot of videographers thinking in their heads, why? Why can't I shoot in 4K RAW? Here's my line of thinking, and by all means, let me know in the comments what you're thinking. If you're going to shoot in RAW, why in all of God's name would you not want to shoot at the full resolution, the highest resolution that you possibly can in the camera.
You can always proxy down.
You can always proxy down.
And edit with low-res files and link to the original files.
And edit with low-res files and just link to the original files. You should just put your telling me this and you should just put it in there. As you can tell, I don't video edit that much, and my husband is telling me this. I don't mind. I'm not a one-man show. So that's what I'm thinking. 8K RAW, it's freaking incredible. It's basically guaranteeing that the R5 is going to be around and that flagship camera for the mirrorless line, kind of like the 5D Mark IV was. That's still a great camera. Oh, and it has the same battery format that you're likely already familiar with, the LPE6NH lithium-ion battery. So the LPE6, the LPE6N, and the LPE6NH. The battery that works in the 5D Mark IV, the R, the R6, and now the R5. Which is kind of nice because you don't have to upgrade your batteries or chargers. I hate having a lot of battery chargers. Overall, this camera is literally everything that we've asked for, between shooting in 8K RAW with no limitations on how long you can shoot for, really, except for the card that you're shooting on, and obviously how fast the card's processing power is and how much space there is on the card. And the fact that it's all done internally is just mind-blowing. I can't wait to get my hands on a Canon R5. I know I'm gonna love it. How could you not love it? What is there not to love about this camera? So the second I get my hands on it, I promise I will do a shoot, I will show it to you, and I'll even go more into the differences between the R6, R5, and the 1DX Mark III. I don't know what camera I want. I want all the cameras. Don't we just want all the cameras? If you were ever thinking about a time to switch from DSLR to mirrorless, this is it. This is it. I'm Vanessa Joy here. Make sure you comment, literally comment. I want to hear all of your things. I want to fight you in the comments about how great this camera is that I've never held, but I know it's amazing. I mean, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. So comment below, share this video, like, subscribe, and make sure you are here for the rest of the week. I have a lot more coming. I've got videos coming for you with the new 85mm lens. I've got the new printer. I've got, what else do I got? Oh, I got a vlog that I did entirely with 2 R6 cameras. So just stay tuned. I got a lot coming for you on this channel. So cheers to all of you prodigal sons coming home. Welcome. And aren't you glad you kept your Canon glass?